This is going to be a tutorial in creating a box or creating any part in Autodesk Inventor and making a drawing so your teachers or yourself can use the drawing later on with its dimensions to recreate the part or understand how the part works. So first we're going to start by clicking on a new part. It might take some time a while to load since it is a heavy program, and we're going to start by creating a 2D sketch. You can select on any plane, it doesn't really matter which plane you select. I like to select the bottom plane. Then you can either create a rectangle by using this tool, click once there and click another time here, or you can use the line tool. Line tool is honestly a little bit unnecessary for this point, but it does the same job. So once you have your rectangle created, you're going to want to make dimensions. These dimensions will help you create the size that you want. So I'm going to do 2 inches by 2 inches. Since this line is now out of my view, I'm going to click on this view cube over here on the top, and it'll bring me back to where I need to be. A quick tip is to click the D key press on your keyboard to bring up the dimension. Here it is again, and then 2 inches. You're going to click Finish Sketch to finish the 2D model. Now I'm creating a 2x2 cube, so we're going to click Extrude, and it'll automatically detect this thing. If it doesn't detect it, you can always click on one of the edges, and as long as it's a closed surface, it'll create a box like this. I want it to come out 2 inches, so 2 inches is what I want, and there we go. This is a 2-inch cube. I want my cube to be hollow just because I plan on putting my plants in there. So we can just click shell, and this will create a shell. I think 0.1 inches is fine for the thickness of the shell, and since I have remove faces selected over here, it'll remove the top face, which is fine. Now I want to create 3 holes on this side, so I click this right cube over here, and we can start this 2D sketch right on top of this face. Now I want to create a sketch based off this face, and since nothing is showing up, I'm going to click Project Geometry, and that'll get me all the dimensions of this face. So now I can use this face to create my circles, and it'll give me a good estimate. It gives me exactly where the center is, so I already know that the center of the circle is 0.1 inches in. This circle could be around 0.25, and the circle could be 0.2, and 0.25 again. Now we're going to make sure they're the right distance from the center, and they all seem to be 1 inch away. Let's make sure they're the correct distance from the bottom. Let's make this 0.25. Let's make this about 1 inch in, and let's make this 1.75. Great. Now we've got our 3 circles, and we're obviously going to want to make holes. So you can click the extrude tool again. If you have trouble selecting it, just zoom in with the scroll wheel. And now we're going to use the cut tool that's over here. And since we don't need 2 inches, we'll just do 0.1, which is the thickness of the thing. And there we go. We have holes that go all the way through. So that is the first part of our sketch. Now we will move on to the drawing part of this tutorial. There's obviously a lot more tools that can be used up here in this top ribbon, but make sure to explore that on your own. Okay, so for part 2 of this video, we're going to be making a drawing. Of course, we want to save this file first, so just File, Save, and wherever you want to save it, I'm going to save it right here. Hollow Box is the name that I'm going to give it. Great, now it's saved, and to create a drawing, you're going to click right up here, click this new thing right here, and then you're going to get this thing, and I always use a standard .idw It's the most efficient way to make a drawing. Click on that and it should bring you up a new drawing. Alright, this is the base template that you're going to get. Click on base to get your first view. Click this open existing file and search for your search for your part. My part's right here. I'm going to double click on it and click OK. Here's the first view. This is the side view. This is going to be the bottom view, and this is going to be another side view. And since I want a 3D perspective on this, I'm going to click over here. Make sure you right click and click create to actually create your objects. Now you can just drag them to where you want them to be. This one will always drag the other two, and these two can only go side to side. It can't go up and down without the help of this. This one can freeform anywhere. Okay, seems like they're a little bit small, so we can always up the scale by changing the scale of this. I'm going to change it to 2 to 1, and I'm going to change this likewise to 2 to 1. We never need to dimension this box in the drawing. It's just good to have it so that the reader can see, oh, this is what you're trying to make. Okay, so we're going to start out with a dimension on this box. So first, let's dimension the sides. Create a dimension over here, and oh, that looks a little small. So the easiest way to fix this is go to the Manage tab, Styles Editor. You're going to click Text, Note Text, and then Text Height 2.4 should be good enough. And click Done, save the edits, and it's a lot bigger now. You're going to want to dimension every single part. Make sure you click on both lines and then just drag up. It's good practice to have your dimensions in ascending order. So it's 0.1, then 1.9, then 2.0. And I'll do the same thing for this side. And more. Now that you see that these dimensions are overlapping, you can always make sure you're not selecting them on the dimension, and you can just move this up a bit just so you have room for both. Right now, there. Now you can see both. Great. Alright, so let's move on to this dimension. Since we've already mentioned this, I'm just going to mention these both at the same time, because all we're showing is that this one doesn't have a top. So we'll just do that by going like this and going like this. The person looking at your design will see that there's no 0.1 dimension, which will show them that they don't need to create a face over here. Now, dimensioning circles is a little bit trickier, but shouldn't be hard. So what you want to start with is dimensioning all the way through each of these circles. That way you don't have to dimension each one by one. By showing that it goes through each of the centers, you show that each circle is 1 inch from the side. A better way of showing the centers is clicking this tool on the top, the center mark, and then clicking on each circle center. Now it's much clearer. We also want to make sure the reader can see the side length. This is going to be 0.25, 1.0, and 1.75. Although you may want to do a dimension like this, where it's 0.25 here, that will get confusing and is ill-advised, because you already have a 0.25 here. It's better to start from one base and go all the way through. And lastly, we are going to want to dimension the circles themselves. So this is 0.25, and this is going to be 0.2. Since the circle is the same size as this, you can just go to this one and write typical. That just shows that this circle, this circle, and this circle have the same dimensions. If you ever run into the situation where you have more than 4 decimals on your dimension, then go to precision and tolerance, and then change the primary unit to 4 decimal places. This will More than 4 decimal places is usually unnecessary unless otherwise advised by your teacher. Okay, so now I'm going to, you can always click on this to pan, it's a lot easier than actually scrolling around. And now I'm going to show you how to title it so people know that it's yours. So this was called Hollow Box, so it's going to be the same name here, Hollow Box. And then you also always want to put your name. And finally, since we used a different scale, I'm going to put the scale as well. If it seems a little big, we can always click on this and change the size as well. Make sure you highlight this first. And great. So this will have everything. Luckily this already came with the date, so I don't need to change that. And this is the end of how to make a drawing. Thank you.